بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear students of Communications and Public Relations Management course, today inshallah we will start with a new chapter, chapter number 4, which is titled by Public Opinion. If you remember, in the first chapter of this course we said that one of the main functions of public relation practitioners is to influence or to affect or reinforce or to change public opinion. So now and in this chapter inshallah we will talk about this function in more details. Public opinion is an elusive and fragile commodity. What does that mean? It means that the public opinion may be now something and after a short period of time it may change totally. Elusive or fragile معنى سلعة هشة سريعة التغير. So here we have an effective role of public relation practitioners is to establish an effective messages for their publics in order to reinforce or to change their opinion. It can take years to build the credibility and the mutual trust, but only minutes or seconds to destroy it. It means you need a long period of time in order to establish your public opinion about your organization or an issue, and in another way it may take a long of time to form opinion, but in 1 minute or a few seconds it may be destroyed. For example, some organization takes a long period of time, maybe years, to build their good image in the mind of their societies. But once they have a bad quality product or anyone or any person died, for example, from their product, they may lose their image in a minute. Individuals and companies in the public eye cannot afford to tarnish their reputations. No one and no individual or any companies cannot afford to distort their reputations, so they always work hard and hard to keep it in a good image in the mind of their publics. Okay, so again, individuals, whether individuals or companies in the public eye, cannot afford to tarnish or to distort their reputations. The best public relations campaign cannot build trust when reality is destroying it. It means if you handle many promotional campaign in order to improve or protect your image in your society's mind, it cannot cover the poor performance of your organization, because your actual performance it is very bad. Okay? فبالتالي رغم أو مهما عملت من حملات إعلانية وأنت عندك فعليا bad performance for your organization، فبالتالي أنت ما راح تقدر تمحيها بهذه الكامبينز. Okay. In the 21st century, public opinion is a combustible and a changing commodity. As we said before in the previous slide, that the public opinion is a fragile commodity, especially in 21st century. It means we live in a rapid path of a change. Also, it is very difficult to move people toward a strong opinion on anything or any issue, and harder yet to move them away from an opinion once it is formed. So here we face two difficulties. The first one, it is very difficult to move people toward a strong opinion, and the second one, it is very difficult to change public opinion once it is formed. طالما تكون الرأي العام، طالما كان في عندي نوع من الكونسنسس، نوع من الإجماع على قضية معينة or a specific subject، فبالتالي من الصعب انه انا اعمل له تغيير. ولكن اذا لم يكن هناك رأي محدد لمجموعة من البابليكس، فانا ممكن يكون لي دور to crystallize their opinion، ابلور لهم رأي معين، وممكن من خلال effective messages اثر وابني رأي لديهم. So the heart of public relations work lies in influencing the public opinion and process. So this is what we said before, that the main function or one of the main functions of public relation practitioners is to influence or to change public opinion. Most public relation programs are designed to. So the main objectives of the public relation programs is to whether to persuade people to change their opinion, or to crystallize uninformed opinions, or to reinforce existing opinion. Okay, so those programs of public relation practitioners used to persuade people to change their opinion about an issue or about a problem, okay, or to crystallize uninformed opinion of those people or those publics. They don't have an opinion, then I will start to crystallize or establish it. As we said before, طالما انه those people or this class of publics, they don't have an opinion, فبالتالي من السهل to establish or to crystallize an opinion for them. And the last one is to reinforce an existing opinion. If my public have a good image about my organization, so my role here or now is to reinforce it. حكينا مسبقا انه حتى لو كان عندي publics have a positive or a good opinion about my organization, فبالتالي انا مش لازم برضو يعني اتغاضى هذا الشيء. We have to reinforce it and to make it more stronger. So again, most of public relation programs are designed to whether to persuade people to change their opinion about something or an issue, crystallize uninformed opinions, and reinforce existing opinions. And now we wanted to talk about the main challenges or the professional challenges which is faced the public relation practitioners. Public relation practitioners have to understand, first of all, what public opinion is. Whether you are you are opposed or an opponent with an issue or with a company, أو أنت يعني معك رأي مع المنظمة ضد المنظمة، أو إنه ما إلك رأي نهائيا. So you have to understand what public opinion is. طيب ليه عايزين نعرف what is your public opinion? To know how we can establish or form our message. يا ترى هتكون المسج الموجهة in order to reinforce public opinion. طبعا في حال كان عندنا positive public opinion about my organization، فبالتالي أنا لازم أوجه messages to reinforce it. Okay. أما إذا كنت من opponent for this issue or for the organization، فبالتالي the organization have to change it or try to change it, and maybe it is very difficult to make that. أو إذا كان ما في عندي أصلا public opinion for specific publics, we have to crystallize a public opinion. So we have to understand what public opinion is. Second thing, how it evolves from people's attitudes. It means how we can stem public opinion from people's attitudes. بالطبع الرأي العام ما بيجي من فراغ، هو بيجي من خلال تكوين اتجاهات الناس. هذه الاتجاهات بتكون الرأي العام. So we have to know how it evolves from people's attitudes. And the last one, how it is influenced by communication. In order to influence our public opinion, we have to use a communication process. We have to send an effective messages for them in order to reinforce it or to change it or to crystallize a public opinion or whatever. And now we wanted to know, what do we mean by public opinion, or what is public opinion? Experts have created dozens of definitions. There is too many definitions for public opinion. Public relations pioneered Edward Bernays called it a term describing an ill-defined, mercurial, and changeable group of individual opinions. Okay, so again, as public relation pioneer Edward Bernays, he said that public opinion, it is a term describing an ill-defined, it is not defined, it is not well-defined opinion, or it is a mercurial. It means mercurial person. We said this is a mercurial person. It means it is this person is characterized by a rapid and unpredictable change of their mood. So it is changing. It is characterized by changeability and a changeable group of individual opinions. Another definition of public opinion. Public opinion is not the name of something, but the classification of a number of something. Because we have a dozen or a thousands or many definitions of public opinion, we have to stem our definition. We have to split the term into two terms. The first one is to define what is public, then opinion, then we have to define what do we mean by public opinion. So what do we mean by public? Public, it is a group of people or a group of individuals who have the same attitudes, values, norms, beliefs, or behaviors. So public signifies a group of people who share a common interest in a specific subject. Okay, they have the same interest in a specific issue, in a specific subject. And what do we mean by opinion? Opinion is the expression of an attitude on a particular topic or a particular subject. So once you express your opinion, it means that you express your attitudes. Okay, so again, opinion, it is the expression of an attitude on a particular topic. When attitudes become strong enough, they surface in the form of opinion. So we can say that in order to form an opinion, you have to start with studying attitudes, the attitudes of publics. And if you have strong attitudes, now you will start to form an opinion. And if you form strong opinion, you will start to do an action, whether a verbal or behavioral action. So again, when attitudes become strong enough, then they surface in the form of opinion. It means if you have a strong attitudes about an issue or about a problem or an organization, so you will start to form your opinion about this issue. When opinions become strong enough, they lead to verbal or behavioral actions. So here we have a cycle which is defined public opinion. Public opinion is determined by three major factors. First of all, we said that you have to start with attitudes, okay? And if you have strong attitudes, you will start to form an opinion. And if you form a strong opinion toward an issue or a problem, you will start to take an action, whether verbal or behavioral action. And after we define two terms, or we split public opinion into two terms, the first one public and the second one opinion, now we wanna to make a combination of the two terms in one, and we wanted to answer what do we mean by public opinion. Public opinion then is the aggregate, or it is the total of many individual opinions. So we said before that public, it means a group of individuals who have the same attitudes or behavior or culture. So we can say that public opinion is the aggregate or the total of many individual opinions on a particular problem or an issue that affects a group of people. Stated in another way, or we can define it in another way, public opinion represents, or it is equal to, a consensus. Okay, again, public opinion, it is equal to consensus. If a group of people have a consensus toward a specific issue, this means that they have a public opinion. إذا كان الناس أو مجموعة أو group of people إلهم إجماع على شغلة معينة أو على قضية معينة، فبالتالي ممكن نحكي طالما في إجماع في عندهم رأي عام عن هذه القضية. Okay, so we can define a public opinion as a consensus. That consensus driving as it does from many individual opinions, begins with people attitudes toward an issue trying to influence, and individual attitudes is a primary focus of practice of public relations. So instead of influencing public opinion, we have to start as a public relation practitioners with public attitudes. Okay, so again, the consensus or the public opinion, it is driving as it does from many individual opinions, begin with people attitudes toward an issue. So as a public relation practitioners, in order to understand or to know public opinion, you have to start with studying their attitudes toward an issue or a problem. Okay, and trying to influence an individual attitudes, this is the primary focus or the primary function or the first step of practice of public relations. So in order to crystallize or to form or to reinforce your public opinion, you have to start again with attitudes or studying the attitudes of your public. What is attitudes? Attitudes, as we define it, I think in a previous course, public organizational behavior course, attitudes, it is an evaluation, a statement, or judgments concerning about an object or people or an event. Okay, so attitudes, it is an evaluations that people make about a specific problem or an issues or about persons or an events. Their conclusions may not be connected to any broad attitude on a given subject. Okay, an individual's attitude may differ from issue to issue. Okay, again, individual attitudes may differ from issue to another issue. زي لما بنحكي مثلا إذا حكينا إيش رأي الطلبة مثلا في الحكومة وما تقدمه، يعني بشكل عام حيكون الشيء سلبي، ولكن أحيانا إذا خصصنا في قطاع معين مثلا أو في وزارة معينة أو يعني لسيكتور معين، ممكن يكون الاتيتيودز يكون مختلف. تمام. So individual attitudes may differ from issue to issue. More on attitudes, we want to talk more about attitudes. Attitudes are based on many characteristics, so we have many elements affecting our attitudes. First one, personal or the personality, cultural, educational, our families or familial, religious, social class, and race. So this is the main elements which is affecting our attitudes, and now we want to talk about each of them in more details. So the first factor which is affect our attitudes, our personality, the personal, the physical and emotional ingredients of an individual, including size, the age, social status. Okay, so our personality, it is based on the physical and emotional ingredient of our individual, including the size, the age, social status or the social class, and so on. So we can say that many traits can affect the way we build our attitudes. For example, if we are in, or if you are in the youth level or in the age of youth, your attitudes maybe differ from the age of maturity, or the people who are classified in the age of maturity. Okay, كل فئة عمرية بتكون لها يعني attitudes مختلفة. طيب, the second factor which is affect or influence the attitudes, cultural. The environment and lifestyle of a particular company or geographic area, the cultures, for example, for Saudi Arabia and United States, for example, differ greatly. Okay, because we have here different countries and different geographic areas, they have different environments, they have different lifestyles, so cultural differences between also there is a cultural differences between rural and urban. Okay, so again, the first factor which is affect our attitudes, the personality. Our personality, what is the personality? It is the physical and emotional ingredients of an individual. Maybe it is affected by size or age, social status. Cultural, it means our environment or our lifestyle of a country or our geographic area, and this means that the attitudes of one geographic area maybe differ from other area. The third factor which is affect or influence our attitudes, the educational factor, the level and the quality of a person's education. To appeal to the increased of college graduates today, public communication has become more sophisticated. So if you hold, for example, a PhD degree or a bachelor degree or a master degree, for example, or not educated, this will affect your attitudes. كل مرحلة يعني خلينا نحكي تعليمية أو حسب الدرجة العلمية الموجودة عندك حيكون الاتيتيودز تبعتك مختلفة عن يعني درجة أعلى أو علمية أعلى، أو حتى ما عندك أي مستوى تعليمي. فكلما زادت درجة التعليم طبعا ما كان عندي الكوميونيكيشن بروسيسز والكوميونيكيشن تولز والمسجز اللي بدي استخدمها ك public relation practitioners حتكون more sophisticated، فحتكون صعبة أكثر. Okay, so as a public relation practitioners, you have to know your the educational level of your public in order to build or establish your messages to reinforce or to change their opinion. The fourth, familial, or your family or people roots or people origins. Children acquire their parents' tastes, biases, political partisanship, and a host of other characteristics. فحسب ميول اتجاهات التيست البايسز حتى ل our families، فبناء عليها بتكون كمان اتجاهاتنا كونت. The fifth factor which is affect our attitudes, religious, which is a system of beliefs of our God. And the sixth factor which is affect or influence the attitudes, social class. Okay, position within the society. Okay, social classes, it means your position within your society. As people's social status change, so do their attitudes will be changed also. Okay, so according to your social status or your social class, your attitudes will change according to that. So if you are changed from one social class to another, so according to that your attitudes will be changed from one class to another. For example, a college student unconcerned with making a living, okay, they are not caring to have a home or a house or a flat, may change, and this may change his or her attitudes about such concepts as big business, government after entering the job market. لكن ممكن هذه الاتجاهات طبعا تتغير بعد تخرجه من الجامعة، لما يكون في له وظيفة، okay، لما يدخل سوق العمل. So according to your social status, your attitudes will be changed also. The last factor which is affect your attitudes, race. Maybe in American we have different race. We have white and black people, African, Latin, Hispanic people, and all of these race, it affect the way you build your attitudes. So race, it refers to ethnic group, as we said before, such as the black or white group, the African, Latin, Hispanic, which today helps shape people's attitudes. Research indicates that attitudes and behaviors are situational, influenced by a specific issue or by a specific situation or in a specific situation. Nonetheless, when others with similar attitudes reach similar opinion, a consensus of public opinion is born. So again, recent studies indicate that some attitudes is situational. If the situation is a change, maybe I can change my attitudes. Okay, so this is according to the situation. When others with similar attitudes reach similar opinion, it means we have a public opinion. It means that we have a consensus or public opinion, as we said before, that public opinion it is equal to consensus. خلينا كمان نرجع للسيركل مرة ثانية عشان نأكد آخر جملة احنا حكينا. You have to start with studying people's or public's attitudes, and if you have a strong attitudes, it means you will form an opinion, and if you form a strong opinion, or a consensus, you can start to make an action, whether behavioral or verbal action. Now we wanted to answer this question: how are attitudes influenced public relation practitioners or the communicators' actions? On any given issue, we have or it is classified into three classes. Okay, as a public relation practitioners, we have to divide our community into three classes, onto three levels. The first one, small percentage expresses strong support. It means they are support your role, they are supporting your performance. And the small percentage also expresses strong opposition. In a contrast, other people or other group, maybe they are or they have an opposition about your organization, and the vast majority doesn't care much. Most of people care less about some issues, and this represents the vast majority. So again, as a public relation practitioners, you have to divide the community into three levels, into three classes. Who have a strong support, and the small percentage who have a strong opposition, and the vast majority doesn't care much about a specific issue. For as a public relation practitioners, for an opponent class, I don't have, or as a public relation practitioners, I don't exert much effort with them, لأنه هم أصلا فعليا معارضين، عندهم فكرة قوية ورأي عام قوي، فبالتالي من الصعب إني أغيره. لكن بالنسبة للstrong support persons, we will try to reinforce them, keep them, and motivate them. We have not to ignoring them. And the vast majority establish we have to establish an effective messages in order to influence those majority, اللي هم الناس اللي أصلا ما عندهم رأي نهائيا، فبالتالي أنا ممكن أعمل له crystallizing من خلال اللي هو المسجز اللي ممكن تأثر عليهم. So الشريحة الأكبر اللي هي الفاست ماجوريتي اللي ما عندهم أصلا رأي، فهذه هي لعبة الببليك ريليشن managers. ومش لازم كمان يعني يتجاهلوا وجود نسبة ضئيلة من ال strong opposition or اللي هو support or the strong support people. This muddled middle represents the greatest opportunity for public opinion change. فبالتالي التركيز الأكبر you have to focus on this majority. How are attitudes influenced? It is hard to change the mind of a person who is opposed to a particular issue or an individual. يعني احنا بنحكي دائما انه المعارض يعني ممكن نفكر انه احنا نغير الفكرة تبعته، لكن من الصعب جدا تغييرها لانه عنده opinion قوي. So it is very hard to change the mind of persons who is opposed to a particular issue or individual. So you don't have to exert much effort with those people. Likewise, it is easy to reinforce the support of a person who is wholeheartedly in favor of an issue or individual. لكن بالنسبة لل strong support people, as an organization or a public relation practitioners, you have to try to reinforce them, keep them, and motivate them. Social scientist Leon Festinger discussed this concept when he talked about the theory of cognitive dissonance, and also we discussed it in previous course, organizational behavior. We said that cognitive dissonance, it means incompatibility between two or more attitudes or between behavior and attitudes. Now we want to discuss the four theories about attitude change. The first one here, theory of cognitive dissonance. We tend to avoid information that is opposed to our own point of view. Again, we tend to avoid information that is opposed to our own point of view. Also, or at the same time, we tend to seek out information that is consistent with our own point of view. The second theory, it is a social judgment theory. People have a range of opinions on a certain subject, anchored by a clear attitude. Okay, people have a range of opinions on a specific subject, on a specific issue, anchored by a clear attitude. Anchored هنا بمعنى صاحب رأي راسخ أو قوي، مربوطة ب طبعا حكينا بالattitude. Although it is seldom possible to change this anchor position، طبعا طالما في عنده anchor position فبالتالي حيكون في عنده strong opinion، فبالتالي صعب انه احنا نعمل له تغيير. Communicators can work within this range or latitude of acceptance. Latitude of acceptance بمعنى في عندي خط رفيع، منطقة تجمع، منطقة تلاقي ما بين الآراء. يعني بنحاول انه احنا نلعب في هذه المنطقة as a public relation practitioners in order to modify a person's opinion. So again, people have a range of opinions on a certain subject anchored by clear attitudes. Although it is seldom possible to change this anchor position, communicators يعني ما بنقف حائرين امام الشيء، بنحاول انه نلاقي نقطة تجمع او تلاقي اللي احنا بنسميها latitude of acceptance to modify person's opinion. The third theory، طبعا الثيوري المشهور في علم الإدارة، Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The bottom of the hierarchy contains the basic needs, the biological and physiological needs, which must first satisfied before moving upward to the higher needs. يعني حسب مازلو عمل classification for the needs of any people into 5 needs. The first one were the basic needs, biological and physiological needs. After that, the safety needs, belonging and love needs, self-esteem and self-actualization. And according to this theory and according to Maslow, he said that you cannot passed or transferred to achieving the second needs unless you achieve totally the lower needs. public relation. طيب ايش علاقة اللي هي هذه النظرية يعني اللي بتحكي عن الحاجات الإنسانية مع اللي هو public relation practitioners أو في موضوعنا اللي هو public opinion. Public relation practitioners must know their audiences and correctly target their level for effective message design. Okay, if we as a public relation practitioners wanted to send a suitable or an effective message or change something or change an opinion, you have first of all to understand your community needs. عشان هيك احنا بنحكي عن هذه النظرية. عشان تغير الرأي، عشان تعمل reinforcing في البداية المفروض انه انت تفهم what is your community needs. So as a public relation practitioners must know their audiences, your public, and correctly target their levels for effective message design. عشان أعرف كمان المسج اللي أنا بدي أوجهها كيف حيكون شكلها، كيف حتكون الكلمات المستخدمة فيها. The fourth and the last theory, elaboration likelihood model. Attitudes can be changed in one of two ways. The first one, when we are interested and focused enough on a message, we take a central route to decision making. So as a public relation practitioners, you have to ask yourself, are you interested to change public attitudes? Okay, and do you think that a part of vast majority interested in this subject or not? Okay, so again, attitudes can be changed in one of two ways. The first one, when we are interested and focused enough on a message, we take a central route, and when we are not engaged with a message, we need to take more preferable route to decision making. So in the first خلينا نحكي issue, if we are interested and focused in a message, we have a direct route. It means يعني من السهل انه ناخذ القرار. ولكن في second issue, when we are not engaged with the message or we are not focusing on this message, we can take a preferable route to decision making. It means an indirect way or an indirect route to reach our audience. ناخد خط التفافي عشان نوصل للأودينس. إذا كانوا الأودينس تبعونا مهتمين مركزين في المسج تبعنا معنيين فيها، فبالتالي أكيد هيكون أنا ك public relation practitioners القرار سهل، القرار هاخده دايركت. ولكن إذا كان ال public relation practitioners مش معنيين بالرسالة، مش مركزين فيها، they are not engaged with it، فبالتالي أنا هاخد زي بنسميه خط التفافي indirect way in order to reach our audience. Can you think of some persuasion setting in which this theory might apply? Translating this theory into action means that the best way to motivate interested people is with arguments that are strong, logical, and personally relevant. Okay, the best way to motivate interested people, okay, is with arguments. Okay, those people is looking always for evidences, for a logical way, for strong messages. Okay, on another hand, the way to motivate people who are less interested might be through putting them in a better mood with a joke. نحاول إنه إحنا نغير الجو تبعهم، نغير المزاجية تبعتهم. I think we can stop here for this lecture. That's enough. Thank you for listening and good luck.